Welcome to the Czech Republic for round 8 of the FIA European Rally Championship of 2013, the Barum Czech Rally Zlin. I'm Jake Sanson, talking you through the action of day 2, and Barum is another very challenging tarmac rally, a classic of the European Rally Championship run for the 43rd time. The service park is located at Otrokovice, near the city of Zlin. The city might never have prospered had it not been for the legendary Thomas Bata, who founded a shoe factory here in 1984 and watched the town flourish into a university city. And of course, the Barum Rally Zlin is Skoda's home rally. The ERC points leader, Jan Kopecky, enjoyed a perfect leg one yesterday during his home rally in Zlín, winning all the stages and taking a lead of more than half a minute into leg 2. Václav Peš was holding second overall after leg 1, in the perfect position to clinch another Czech rally title. Competing in his very last rally, former factory driver Roman Kresta was completing the overnight all-Czech podium with 3rd place. It was even an all-Czech top 4 with Jaromír Tarmac snatching 4th from Sepp Weigand on the last stage of leg 1. Could it remain a Czech top 4 to the end? Sadly elsewhere, young Finnish star Esa-Pekka Lappi damaged the roll cage of his factory Skoda after this off on stage 6. He was forced to retire in the service park as the damage done to the roll cage was deemed too big by the FIA technical delegate. So, standing so far, Kopecky 37 seconds clear of Peš, with Kresta and Tarmac rounding the top 4. It's an all-Czech top 4 with Weigand in 5th position. 6th place for Miroslav Jakez, ahead of Boniface, Tuzak, Orsak and Kovska. As predicted by the weather forecast, rain arrives on as stage 10 and stage 13. So if leg 1 was tough, leg 2 will be even tougher, and we're on our way to the first loop of 3 stages. Stage 10, starting off with Maják at 8:53 local time, followed by Jankovic, and then ending with Zlutava. The weather in Zlín is rainy, roads are wet, the temperature is around 16 degrees, and teams are permitted to cut the tyres. Roman Kresta, incredibly, has broken Jan Kopecky's sequence of stage wins on the Barum Czech Rally Zlín by winning Sunday's opening test, the 23.6 kilometres of Maják. Unfortunately, a puncture in stage 11 would stop his amazing rhythm in the Skoda Fabia S2000. He lost almost 3.5 minutes and drops from 3rd to 5th positions in the overall standings. It would have been great for Kresta to have been on the podium at the end of his very last rally, but now it's uphill from here. Incidentally, all the drivers are on the control tyre that was introduced in Ypres, some tyre for dry and wet. 2 compounds though of soft and medium, so it'll be interesting to see who picks what. Kresta's teammate Jaromír Tarmac starts the day with a 2nd place time in stage 10. But just like his teammate, Tarmac picked up a front right puncture in the same stage as him, stage 11. So up and down for the pair of Czechs. Tarmac himself lost about 30 seconds, holding 3rd overall, just 4.8 seconds advantage over Sepp Weigand. So the battle for 3rd begins between Tarmac and Weigand. For the German in the Skoda Fabia, no mistake. His goal is just to stay on the road. Incredibly consistent in the opening part of the leg, with a 6th and 7th time on Sunday morning. He's now 4th position overall. Advantage, Weigand. Yesterday, the championship leader started on the road, but today, Jan Kopecky is running 10th on the road after leading. He said his goal was not to win all the stages, just to finish the rally. He continues to lead the event in his Fabia S2000, 4th on stage 10 and 3rd on stage 11. Winning every stage is no longer a necessity for the Czech home hero, just to get to the finish line. Just behind the rally leader in the first two stages of the morning, we find two production cup drivers. Jaroslav Orsak finishing 5th in stage 11, putting him 2nd in the production cup so far. The Mitsubishi driver has demoted the GPD mid-metal racing teammate of his, Antonin Tuzak, for 7th place in the overall classification. But what about Miroslav Jakez, leader in the production cup? The first time for him with these tyres. He lost a bit of time at the beginning of the day in stage 10, but he controls his leadership with a good 4th place in stage 11. Vaclav Pesh is competing in the ERC for the first time since the opening round in Austria back in January. He's been 2nd since the first stage of the rally and made up some good ground on the leader. Just 37 seconds separate him from Kopecky after stage 11. And with this performance, he has one hand on the Czech title. The first man on the road was Pavel Valousek, trying out Michelin's new Pilot Sport R tyre in wet conditions for the first time at the wheel of his Ford Fiesta R5. He was 3rd fastest, just 1.2 behind Cresta in the first stage of the day. He had a pretty good feeling with the car on the second stage of the day and set the best time. The former Czech champion made history then by becoming the first driver in a Ford Fiesta R5 to win a stage in the FIA European Rally Championship. His goal is just to finish as high as possible after losing time on leg 1. He went from 14th overall on Saturday night to 11th on Sunday morning. So while Pavel Valousek goes on the comeback and rises to 11th, it's Kopecky 37 seconds clear from Pesh, with Tarabas there in 3rd, Weigand now moving up to 4th ahead of Roman Cresta, of course. 6th position is Miroslav Jakez ahead of Jaroslav Orsak, with Tuzak, Koriska and Boniface in the top 10. More rain to come, or will conditions dry out? Stay with us to find out. The Barum Czech rally Zlín continues on in leg 2. Still, damp conditions remain, despite the sunshine, in various places in the country. Roman Cresta dropped to 5th after a puncture on the previous stage, but hits back with the fastest time in stage 12, Slutava. Still 5th though, a long way behind Weigand, but with plenty of potential, just in case one of the men in front of him drops the ball. Cresta would love a decent finish in his last rally. For Jaromír Tarabas, he too had a puncture on the previous stage, but stayed ahead of Weigand by just 4.8 seconds. This time he beats Weigand, 5.2 seconds quicker, with an advantage of 10 going into the last loop. So it could well be an all-Czech podium. All he has to do is beat Sepp Weigand. But you can never count the German out. He was quite satisfied with 4th place, needing to find 10 seconds and more to get onto the podium. But there's plenty still to come. Consistency and pace is all that's required to stay in the running. And 4th place is still a very strong position. So while Sepp Weigand looks to break the top 3 Czech podium, Kopecky, Pesh and Tarabas are hoping to remain there. Roman Cresta is still there in 5th position, poised to pounce in case any of the top 4 lose control. 6th, Jakez is looking strong ahead of Orsak, Tuzak, Valousek and Koriska. So, back to Otrokovice for the last service of the rally. There's a lot of tyre talk. Cutting or no cutting? And what's the weather forecast? How's the control tyre in the damp conditions?
It was my first experience with these tires on the wet condition and in the mud, because always we had just dry conditions when we were testing. And the tires are working well. Maybe we didn't cut enough because we didn't expect that there will be so lot of mud on the stages.
A disappointed Roman Cresta in the service park, losing his third place after a puncture.
100%. Absolutely, we don't know where and what was there. So just when we turning from the gravel to the tarmac, start to move the car, and after 1 kilometer is completely the flat front right tires. So that's it.
The sole non-Czech in the top 10, Weigand too was discussing the tyre choice with the team from Michelin.
Es ist bis jetzt noch nicht klar. Ich gehe aber mal davon aus, dass wir auf jeden Fall mit soften Reifen
For now it's not clear yet what we'll choose, but I suppose we'll go with soft tyres again. Now the question is if we'll have many or not that many cuts. Rain has stopped, but there will still be quite a lot of mud on the road. That's why Skoda Motorsport has opted for more hand cutting of the Michelin Pilot Sport R. Now heading for the last loop, with a rerun of the 3 morning stages. In the afternoon, the first stage was half wet, half dry. In stage 14, Pavel Valausek said that the first 400 metres, the engine was working on 3 cylinders only, so they lost some time. But Valausek is still showing the potential of the Ford Fiesta R5 with a nice third place in stage 14. He's bouncing back to be 8th overall. While the Ford Fiesta R5 makes constant progress, Sepp Weigand continues the charge to be the only non-Czech in the top 10. Very consistent, no mistakes, and he's feeling more and more confident. He didn't push because, as he said, his goal is just to stay on the road. 4th overall is where he remains.